Hi, I'm Carrie with North Star Coaching. I help leaders and teams in messy, dynamic situations. So today's live is really about leveraging language to help people communicate, give feedback, sort of get everybody in the circle. So if you have been on some of my lives before, I do like a whiteboard, old school. I have an education background, if you will. And that's probably where some of my love for like hand drawing things come from. But when I talk about getting people in the circle, it's really this concept that leaders, teammates, team members, we have to all have sort of the same norms, values, and beliefs if we're going to get in the circle. And language is a powerful way to sort of put words on what we expect from each other if we're in the circle. So if there is somebody out here and they're sort of not getting in the circle, we can go, hang on a second, let me give you some feedback. Let me help you with words, sort of understand how you can get in the circle and help the team thrive, right? So what's really neat and powerful about this is as a leader, even as a team member, you can be a charge to create some of that shared language. And the shared language is powerful because it saves people from having to have like deep, difficult, sensitive conversations. We're always nervous to have those rigorous, hard conversations, in part because people struggle to frame them and get out what they want to say. There's also just the hidden fear of what happens if it's not received well? Is this going to affect my job? Is the person going to retaliate against me? Am I going to change my reputation? It's just messy. So language can really be powerful to just give each other quick feedback and then it's over, right? And gives people a chance to redirect. So there's this great video by Brené Brown. If you Google, "Damn You, Steve," she has a great like 3-minute video about blame. And so as an example, I showed this team recently with an HR team I was working with. I showed this video with an HR team that I was working with. And then the next time I saw the team, they got this "Dang You, Steve" water bottle for everybody, right? And so an example of how language is powerful, now the team, if they're feeling blame or if they're feeling finger pointed by somebody else on the team, they can just say, "Dang you, Steve." And they felt uncomfortable putting in the word "damn," like the video says, because they didn't want to get in trouble for swearing at work, which is totally cool. So they put in "Dang you, Steve" after the video. That really created this shared language for people to kind of call out, "I feel like you're finger pointing me. I feel a little blame. I kind of want to hide away from you because you're being mean." Instead, they just kind of go, are you calling me Steve? Am I Steve right now? Is it "Dang you, Steve"? And it becomes this joke of just levity, still getting at the issue of, I don't like how you're treating me, but it doesn't have to be a big conversation. We can just say like, "Hey, I believe that you don't mean to come across so strong. So I'm just going to say, dang you, Steve. Give me a sec." Right? Quick shared language sets it all on the same page. We've agreed that this is kind of something that we're going to do. With a different team, it's fun. I was challenging the team because they recognized behavior. So this is all out of some consulting work that I've done lately. The team recognizes behaviors that are outside of the circle, right? Things that are not really helpful to everybody getting in the circle. And so we had, different conversations over a few weeks saying like, okay, so what are some of the behaviors? What do you do when they happen? Blah, blah, blah. And the fact is the frontline associates in the team wanted to change how the behavior was coming across to them, but they just didn't have the skills. And they didn't want it to be a huge, long conversation. So we ended up developing a code word. And the group came up with this code word, "backup." So anytime someone was just not in the circle or doing things that you didn't feel were helpful or they kind of got in your way of being success, one or the other team member could say, "back up." And it was just the automatic cue without a long conversation of, "Oh, I need to check myself. I just need to pull away for a second and re-engage." So weeks later, when I'm still touching base with the group, confirming like our behaviors are becoming habits, right? Just slowing down to make sure that we're doing the right work. The team was even saying that sometimes they called back up on themselves that they could tell that they came across a bit grumpy or they were not in the headspace that they needed to be for the work they were doing. And they just said to someone, hang on a sec, I need to back up. And so they were really proud of themselves for being able to either call out other people when it was a chance to back up or self-identify and calling out, I need to back up, right? Words matter. And so what this live is about is just giving you a couple of concrete examples of how teams slow down to have fun, and they paid for these bottles out of their pocket. Just so cool. I love that they see me as part of the team, right? I love the work I do. So Dang You Steve, as an example of the video, whenever we're feeling that blame, there's the backup when we're doing behaviors that we don't want to have. And then look at this other third example that I got from a team that I love. Wow. So in the circle, and then around here is everybody's name that was part of that team when we did the training to kind of get in the circle. So special, right? So words matter. And you can see that people on these different teams that I'm talking about embrace this idea of getting in the circle. And what's a language that we can use, or a code word, or a something that we can all agree on to kind of shortcut a big conversation and just give people like quick, in the moment feedback, right? Pretty simple and real. Okay, so you can tell I love the work. This culture stuff is so important. Culture drives behavior. And behaviors drive, obviously, the productivity and outcomes that we get. But if we don't address culture first, then we're hit and miss and spending a bunch of energy not getting anywhere, right? Because we haven't tackled the culture. And that involves putting words on the behaviors we want and then giving people a way to talk through that without it having to be like a heady conversation every time. I would love to just get to know you and your work. I'm always open to having conversations, low coffee chat times. I have a goal in my business of doing like 20% pro bono work, just connecting with people. And I think last year when I actually crunched the numbers, it was like a lot more, maybe double that percentage. And because it's the right work. So let's connect. Let's talk through the language you use in your world and what that can look like to help advance the culture that you want. I'm Carrie Burchell. I help leaders slow down in messy, dynamic situations just to get clear on their path moving forward. Let's connect at carrieburchell.com.